Good night. May God greatly bless all of you, and my special embrace today to dear preacher Rex Rambert, who will join us with Cross of Light Colony under direction of dear Reverend Stanton Moses. May our dear preacher Rambert also be able to strengthen this current of awareness in this new endeavor, in this revolutionary crusade of Christian conscientiousness on spiritual life. Today, here in this beautiful and historic Mdrid, near this land of beloved people Spain, I want to tell you about Thomas in his important passage with Jesus, as we can see in John 20, verses 24 to 31. Jesus had been with the apostles right after their resurrection in a meeting a week ago. Thomas, the disciple, on one first called by Jesus, along with Peter, James and John, on shores of Galilee, in their episode of fishing, didn't believe in the story told by the apostles. And incredulous, he challenged, "If I don't see marks of wounds in your hands, though not put my finger where nails, and don't put my hand on your side, I will not believe." A week later, his disciples were there again, and Thomas with them. The doors were locked. Jesus went in, stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." And Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. Look at my hands. Reach out and put it on my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Then Jesus said, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and believed." There is in human being a natural and immediate tendency not to believe in what escaped from ordinary, from vulgar. Thomas had spent almost many years accompanying the Master, attended many miracles, done extraordinary things, followed the teachings, saw the wonders of Lord, but after crucifixion fell into dismay and was led by disbelief and distrust to believe that it was in the divine messenger who returned after that, winning it. Therefore, he had to doubt once, without which he would not be convinced. More than 20 centuries have passed, and mankind has not yet fully convinced itself that Jesus was resurrected, indicating that life continues, which he continues after passing from a material dimension to a spiritual world. We still need to touch the ones of Jesus, and since humanity is not convinced in collective of this situation of continued of life, it surrenders savagely to destructive egoism in instant search for temporal power, material wealth, domination, and violence against its brothers. Jesus was not there in spirit, but in flesh and blood, touchable palpable, sensitive to touch, beyond salt. And Thomas believed while he saw it. The warning of Jesus is important. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. How long will it be until hardened hearts are quiet in meekness of Jesus' teachings? After last talking mother, I returned to Colin, where I am in England, where my dear wife heart is also. As always, with her scrutinized look, she provoked him. Is it not yet too soon for you to change your concepts so consolidated for more than 80 years? And before I answered, she said, you have spoken your whole life in salvation by faith, and now it comes with this revelation of continuity of life. My heart is inside, and often it knocks me out with her question, persistent and quiet. I paused for a moment to reflect, and as I absorbed the invigorating energy of their loving embrace, I felt their light of protection wear on, as if they were bound by Holy Spirit. Darling, when you found out their way is wrong, there is no way to continue in it. You have to revise course and look for another course, especially when indication of script is clear shown. I know I'm not wise or stupid. This is evidenced by fact that I could have been for so long an intelligent, generous, beautiful, and dedicated woman like you. I could not do that, and so I feel capable, intelligent, and naturally beautiful, of course, to be able to have you by my side. When, on that Wednesday, Jan 14, 2007, you left the body, I felt that I was still alive. I could smell you, your grace, your presence. I spoke to you in my dreams, in the spirit. I knew you were fine, but it was not heaven that people said. You have shown this in your concerns with your children, especially with Ned and with Bun. And above all, their life was still here, as I can now see. As I can now see. So, dear, we don't change our thinking, but we complement the concepts. Salvation comes from Jesus, comes from the faith in his teachings. But let us analyze clearly, which is salvation. Salvation does not make anyone immune to trouble, neither that which is unclean impure, nor transforms into saints the offenders. The act of save, it has as objective synonym to rid of dangers, to shelter, to indicate which is safe part of walk. Saving, for example, a drowning person is an important act. But that does not mean that person will not have any more problems, or he will buy immunity from other drownings if he is not careful, if he is not prudent. The faith brings us the knowledge of journey, and certainly that we are following a roadmap of improvement, which that are warnings of what we can do and what we should avoid, always trusting God. does not exempt us from necessary of fulfilling our journey. Thus there we part when invested in flesh in this new experience, and sooner we become aware of it, better for our evolution. Jesus has brought us teachings of salvation. He showed us the importance of humility, generosity, forgiveness, fraternity, responsibility, which are dots, affirming and guaranteeing that we would not be alone, but that we should follow him. And what is to follow Jesus? It is to walk in the sorrowful ways of Calvary, bearing cross of each one, and certainly the fulfillment of our commitments will mean perfection and brilliance, polishing of our soul. All apostles of Jesus followed him in fulfillment and observance of gospel, the good news. But they were subjected to suffering and sacrifice, their life imposed, even then, most of them also going to martyrdom. With Jesus, salvation comes to us in peace, with details of how we shall act, in order to free our soul from darkness and ignorance. Before we need to touch one of Jesus, we must snuggle into his heart, listen to his words, silence our fears, overcome our unbelief, and believe in the righteousness of God. Justice, that would not be good if it were rewarded with heavenly eternity. For those still in need of improvement or condemned to eternal fire, brothers who often fall into error through ignorance, impulse, instincts, weaknesses, inherent in very condition of human fallibility. And when you ask me if I am not being precipitate, throwing myself into this necessary crusade of enlightenment, reminds me of figure of soul, when in wilderness, having vision of Jesus, he falls from camel and falls in himself. They would say, it had already afflicted by hot sun. There he changed all his life trajectory, abandoning outdated concepts and adhered to ways of the gospel. When I transposed Porta, the divided nations of spiritual matter, I fell in myself. I understood, I experienced it, I justified my conviction that everything was going on, that my good works spoke for me, just as continued to answer for my mistakes and deviations. When we were welcomed into this blessed colony, cross of light, we were shown our whole existence and many other things, among which my personal debt is. This frightened me, a horrible perception of disappointment of thousands of believing brethren as they landed in spiritual life, charging for glory and have promised. Aesthetic is made in the colony, and he is very confiable. Gave me the mission of need to hold up the sleeve as fast as I could and go to work. It's not a work of a persuasion or conversion, but above all information work. It's do no interest in me that people, incarnated or no, believe in me. I don't need any adherence nor manifestation of agreement. You don't have to take a step in my direction. I just need you to know what it's like, what is waiting for you, what you'll find when you keep your time on earth. This is my thoughts now. So, you see, every day, about 180,000 people die. Every day. Of these, about 40% are Christians, or about 60,000 people a day. Of these Christians, about 15,000 to 20,000 are evangelicals. Every day, 20,000 day, 6 million evangelical die for years.
Unprepared.
They land in the spiritual life, totally ignoring what is really going to happen to them. And of course, we'll be waiting for some relatives and friends who will receive it, as was my case, and this greatly reduces the suffering of surprise. A very large number fall into despair, crying out for Jesus, for cheap heart, for God, and desperate, become deeply unhappy until they recognize the condition of living in spirit and accept the help of spiritual benefactors who seek them. If you saw, as I saw, the melancholy look of these people, would feel same sadness that I feel now. Before yesterday, when I preached to more than 1 million spirits, still in Mdrid, some long time, are rivers in the spiritual world,
Ignorant.
about new condition. When I finished, a young woman, still young, asked me, Pastor, I was an active member, faithful Titus, participant, prayed and sang praises, waiting for a heaven which does not exist. Please, tell my little girl, who is still on earth, that thing is different. She's only 11 years old. She is alone with her heart, and she lives dreaming, asking God to bring her to me in glory. Tell her, Pastor, for love of God. It's to break anyone's heart. And because they are deluded with lies, these people revolt, and this makes recovery difficult. We have to change that. We have to change that. It's necessary that churches be more Jesus and less Thomas. Today, I am communicating through an instrument which is not evangelical in contextual sense, nor do I know if it is religious. I am very grateful to him who did not object or impose conditions. Maybe I will have to take him to USA if I cannot get someone there. I don't know how long I can count on this, but I want to speak through my people, my community, my hymns and my unforgettable meetings. I want to be in my church with my people. I have been trying to communicate with my children, with my grandchildren, with friends, but no one gives credit to my initiatives. I know from now on preparation for my centenary begging. Thankful I will not have to blow so many candles. But I want to be, and I will be, present to celebrations which start from hearts so loved and loved. But I would like to manifest in some way this concept of continuity of life. We can embrace this flag as this will prevent the avalanche of suffering derived from deception as it is today. I intend to manifest myself with my people. Don't say that I am a halting or that I am a devil, because I am not. I am a devil in the etymological sense of the word from the Greek daemon, spirit. However, Hort often has doubts about that. Here we have an extraordinary condition of holography, and I seeking needs and information, so that they are transferred to physical life. I will show up for 12 people between November 1st and 9th of the year, welcoming me with serenity. I just want to give little messages. Do not expel me. Pray with me, speak in Jesus, speak in love and well. I don't want anyone to believe in me or change the way I think to act. I just want you to know, because it's like this. Before coming to spiritual world, men imagining that because they prayed, converted, praised the Lord, they would receive wings of angels and go to a faithful heaven. In ironies that is contrary to nature itself. I, for example, would look more like an old goose, just out feather that flies. Beloved children of the heart, brothers in Jesus, don't believe in me, but do not despise me. Do not scorn me. I am not the devil. I didn't rip the Bible. I just convinced myself that my explanations, when I gave and the ones I received, are incomplete. Seek to deepen the study of soul, of spiritual journal, another side of the door, in name of Jesus. Thomas was one of first apostles of Jesus, meeting on shore of Tiberias, when for the first time Peter and others saw the Master. He also said to Jesus, Lord, we don't know where you are going. How can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus is the way, no charging donkey. The truth which we need to know, because it alone frees us and life eternal, continuous, and ever evolving, because there is best revelation of the righteousness of God. May Heavenly Father fill the hearts of all with light and grace. God bless you all, and see you next time, God willing.